I'm Heidi Dupree of HeidiDupree.com, Energy Healing Solutions for Highly Sensitive Women. And today, I'd like to talk to you about understanding loss and the messages of the handless maiden. I made this video because there's a very important message underlying our experiences. It's a message of transforming suffering into blessings, abandonment into abundance, and betrayal into upgrade. I'll start with a story. Although I initially woke up in the early 1990s, awakening is a lifelong process with stages that don't necessarily occur in a linear fashion. When I say woke up, what I mean is that I became aware that my identity was built on illusions and false beliefs about myself as a victim, unworthy of love and acceptance. Like a house built of cards, those illusions came crashing down so many years ago. In 2016, I entered another stage of awakening when I completely changed the way I work. For over 20 years, I had worked with my hands in an energy healing practice. Almost overnight, I had a deep knowing that I would no longer work with my hands, but would be working with energy online. This was not a conscious decision. It was as if I was being carried through this change by a force greater than myself. Perhaps you've made a change in your life that involved ending something that didn't really make sense to anyone, maybe not even to yourself. Perhaps you couldn't justify the change in any kind of practical terms, but you just knew that you had to do it, even if it involved a loss to yourself or a loss to others. For a healer to stop working with her hands didn't make much sense to me either. Touching transmits energy and is an important aspect of healing. I am not suggesting that a healing practice that includes touching is better or lesser than a healing practice that transmits energy in ways that do not include touching. This video isn't about making such comparisons. Rather, it's about exploring the awakening process. In 2016, Spirit made it known to me that there were other plans for my life, and I was simply responding to the call. Something surprising happened when I made this change and started sensing and transmitting energy to individuals online. I felt suddenly free from limitations. No longer was I limited to sensing energy with my hands or dependent on my hands, nor was I limited to working with people within geographic traveling distance of my office. I have always used all my senses to track energy, not just tactile. But having the tactile removed expanded my other senses. I still felt all the same things in my body as when my hands were on a client. My hands would get warm, I could feel energy moving through my body, and the client's pain would register in my own energy systems. But it wasn't until recently when I picked up a copy of Women Who Run with the Wolves by Clarissa Pinkola Estes that I began to understand the transition that I had made and that it was starting to make sense. As I glanced at the table of contents of this book, my eyes were immediately drawn to the last story, the tale of the handless maiden. The handless maiden is a story told in varying versions in cultures throughout the world and throughout history. The maiden allows her father to cut off her hands, to thwart the devil over a deal the father had unwittingly made to hand over his daughter. This mutilation and loss initiates her descent into the underworld or spiritual world. I immediately recognized the symbol in my own life. I had willingly cut off my healer hands. Like the handless maiden, I had traded my physical hands for spirit hands. In the Intuit tradition, the motif of the handless maiden is conveyed through the legend of the goddess Sedna. Sedna is tricked into marrying an evil bird disguised as a man, who promises to abundantly provide for her. But once he takes her off to an isolated island, she discovers he can only provide bare minimum, just enough to survive. Eventually her father rescues her, But fearing that the stormy seas are going to capsize the kayak, Sedna's father throws her overboard. Sedna clings to the side of the kayak, refusing to let go. To save himself, Sedna's father cuts off all her fingers. The sense of safety we are searching for is not in external circumstances. It's an inner state. The abundance we search for may appear to come from the material world, but it is Spirit who provides. If we look for abundance in the material world, we become tricked into an illusion. When Sedna's father cut off all her fingers, she could no longer keep her grip on the material world. She had no choice but to surrender to the spirit world, depicted in the myth as her sinking to the bottom of the sea. When we've lost it all and our hands surrender their grasp on the illusion of the material world, we descend into the underworld, as did Sedna. This is a shamanic phrase that can be translated as entering the spiritual realm through the deeper self. From the icy depths, the spirit of Sedna became a symbol of endless prosperity, the wellspring of energy that awaits all of us when we connect with the spirit world. There is a large minor planet at the coldest and farthest edge of the solar system, named after Sedna. Planet Sedna is so far removed from Earth in her 11,000-year orbit that she was not discovered until November of 2003. And then it wasn't announced to the public until March of 2004. The astrology of planet Sedna represents the emergence of the exiled, suppressed feminine. As Sedna was revealed in our solar system, the exiled divine feminine has come to the forefront of our collective consciousness. I am seeing the influence of her medicine in my life and those I work with. On the surface, what looks like loss and betrayal is an initiation of the journey to our soul. There is something much deeper at work in our lives, whether we are willingly letting go or having loss seemingly imposed upon us. If you feel drawn to end a pattern in your life, whether that's a job, a relationship, a living situation, an illness, or a belief, know that the spirit of Sedna may be at work in your life as well. Loss can actually be the first step of an initiatory process of awakening that can connect you to endless abundance of energy, health, and love. The message of Sedna is the turning of suffering into blessings. This is also my definition of energy-pathy healing. The affix path comes from the Greek word for suffering. Energy-pathy healing is the use of energy to turn suffering into blessing. If you like this video, subscribe to this channel. You can also go to my website, HeidiDupree.com, and subscribe on any page and receive a free recording, 3 keys to removing the blocks to getting what you want in life. While you're at my website, check out my award-winning books and my programs that contain everything you need to know to live a healing way of life that awakens your greater health. If you'd like to read the blog version of this video, I'll put the link below. Thank you for watching and listening, and I wish you endless blessings.